And in typical New York Jets fashion, just as you believe the team has hit rock bottom, there's a rockier, more bottomy bottom just below the surface, and they continue to tumble. I'm Glenn Naughton with Jet Nation Radio and JetNation.com. Be sure to log into JetNation.com where you can register and become a part of what is the most active Jets message board on the web. Very quick show here today, folks. Got to leave for work in a minute. Did a show yesterday talking about how dysfunctional the Jets were and how is Aaron Glenn going to find anybody that wants to work for him. And I talked about how coaches are going to view Aaron Glenn as a guy who's, if you're a candidate with, a proven history or not, if you're a candidate with any faith or belief in yourself whatsoever, you're going to look at Aaron Glenn and say, 4-13, I could do that. I'm better than that guy. Why would I go work for a guy who I'm better than? And 10, 15 minutes later, I'm hopping in my car, I'm driving to work, and Tanner Engstrand gets fired. Or, part ways, as they say. He wasn't fired, Glenn. They parted ways. Okay. That's like saying, my girlfriend didn't break up with me. We parted ways because she wanted a different boyfriend and said I was no good. That's breaking up. That's getting dumb. That's getting fired. That's what that is. So Engstrand's gone after the agreement that he would stay on the staff, and apparently the as time went on and they talked this out through the week, Aaron Glenn and Tanner Engstrand, they were like, you know what, this isn't going to work. So let's agree to part ways, but you don't work here anymore. So that was bad because we said the other day, I said, I wondered out loud, is there a chance they want to move on from Engstrand? But that would look even so much worse to fire your DC, your OC, your linebacker coach, your D-line coach, 4 assistants, QB coach, everybody. And I joked about this yesterday, is how everybody's yelling at me last year when I'm like, man, I wish the Jets coaching staff was at the Senior Bowl. And everybody was like, hey, Glenn, I'll have you know that Aaron Glenn is assembling his superstar coaching staff. That's why he's not in Mobile. You don't know ball. Well, he just fired the whole staff. So now they are in Mobile. But they just don't have anyone to bring with them to, hey, who fits in your system? Who do you like? We don't have anyone who has a system. So anything good. Because look, we know this, right? We know that you can be a very bad team, but put in place some foundational building blocks and have a full first year and then sit down and look back and say, what did we do well? Who did what well? What went well as a team? And I know the whole season was a disaster, but that doesn't mean you can't find chunks and say, when we ran this in this scenario, when we leaned on this particular play call in these situations, they did well. The little pieces that you could pull out and say, okay, here's something to build on. Gone. DC's gone, OC's gone, new systems, everything's new. Aaron Glenn said when when the season wrapped up, Aaron Glenn was like, hey, I want everyone to understand it's not easy being a first-year head coach and GM. This is pretty hard. So, okay, so there's your fine. And he's not wrong. I don't doubt that. But so if your excuse after the season is we sucked because this is difficult as a first-year guy, and then you fire everyone, and now you're essentially starting as a first-year guy. It's insanity. And I went a little bit off the topic there, but I feel like some of this stuff has to be said. But the situation with Engstrand, obviously, so now he's gone. The Jets reach out, apparently, reportedly, confirmed really by one Dave Portnoy of Barstool Sports, that the Jets reached out to John Gruden to offer him a job on Aaron Glenn's staff. I don't know. I guess shoot your shot, right? But I can't envision anybody felt like, oh, who would really want to come work for Aaron Glenn, a Super Bowl winning coach. And Gruden's had his issues and the turmoil and the allegations and the court case he has against the league for them leaking his emails. There's a lot going on there. But to then have Dave Portnoy, who, listen, I feel weird saying it as a New York guy, as someone who grew up, rooting for the Jets, Yankees, Knicks, Rangers. Portnoy's a Boston guy, loves his Boston teams, but I like him. He's funny. He's a freaking, who builds a business, sells it for what was it, like $400 million, and then buys it back for $1. That dude's a genius. If some things you just got to be willing to say, no matter what allegiance they have to any team. You build a it's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, so Portnoy, Dave Portnoy. So here we are thinking, oh, we've hit a new low. We've had our first year coach turn in one of the worst seasons in franchise history, and then fire the whole coaching staff to recreate a year one environment. This is as bad as it gets. We don't have a quarterback. Now you're getting clowned on Twitter by Dave Portnoy because one of his employees, John Gruden, would rather work at Barstool than come to the Jets. And I like Barstool. I love the pizza reviews. But you're targeting coaches who would rather work for Dave Portnoy than come work with the Jets. Now, look, might it have been a different situation if Woody Johnson called and said, hey, John, I want you to be my head coach. Like, that might be appealing. Because Gruden is, I think he would love to coach again. Now, again, how does the lawsuit against the league affect all of this? Would it hurt his chances in the lawsuit? I don't know. I don't know legal stuff. I just know that there's a lawsuit and everyone's saying Gruden's got a good shot. So maybe, I don't know. That's about as far as I can go on John Gruden's lawsuit. All I know is there is one and there's a lot of money involved and it's against the league. For all, for the emails and stuff that were leaked years ago. So Gruden chooses Barstool over the Jets. But again, I ask you, how many coaches who are A, good at their job, and B, have any belief in themselves are going to come work for a head coach who just won 4 games, is on the hot seat, and in all honesty, you can't identify. I mean, the team doesn't have an identity now. I guess you could come in as the coordinator and try to establish that identity. So anyway, nightmare, disaster, my info. How we doing, buddy? He says sell the team. We all wish for that, my info. Just don't see it coming. However, to avoid accusations, I said yesterday, I'm going to try to be more positive. And there's really, I'm having a stretch here. I'm pulling a muscle, trying to stretch and find something positive here. Here's my positive. We saw, well, I'm assuming you saw. If you didn't see, Diana Rossini tweeted after the Engstrand firing, the Jets aren't done. They have a plan. Now, any plan they have right now is a pivot. There's whatever, Aaron Glenn closed the season and said, rest assured, trust me, there is a plan. The plan was not to fire everyone. And we saw that, that's emerged as well. That coaches were told, hey, you're free to pursue other jobs. But a lot of them were given the impression they were safe if they didn't go elsewhere. Specifically, Engstrand, who had reportedly told friends that he was excited about what the offense would bring next year. So this was not the plan. This is panic, chaos. What the hell are we doing? But maybe there's a pivot and a plan from this point. So here's the one potential positive. Diana Rossini tweets there's a plan. And like more to come or something along those lines. Stand by, more to come. There's a plan. And we know the Jets took a swing and a miss at John Gruden. But so that at least tells you the Jets are fishing in some waters with some big fish, some big names. They want to bring somebody in on the offensive side who has a history of high-level success. And look, I'm not gonna throw out names. I did tweet yesterday, and this is, associated with how we talked weeks ago about how Scott Mason would play like a Jet. Shot out that tweet saying, tagging Kurt Warner, would you be interested in a advisory role with the Jets? Warner did not reply, but he did like the tweet. So suggesting, I'd be open to something with the Jets. So maybe, here's my reaching positive. We know they're going after big fish. We know Diana Rossini said something is coming next, or there's more to come on the Jets. So hopefully, for the love of God, this team is being aggressive and willing to throw a bunch of money at somebody like Kurt Warner. Now, Warner is a guy, there's not a coaching history there, and he's not a big ego guy. He's one of the few big fish I could see saying, you know what, I'll come on board. I'm happy to help you develop your offense because he doesn't have an insane ego. At least I don't get that impression. I don't know the guy. What the hell do I know about what he's like off camera? But he seems like a humble guy. I mean, not many guys on Kurt Warner's level will sit down on their phone and have conversations back and forth with, some schlub who's calling him an idiot or misquoting him, or like he'll have conversations with regular people despite being a Hall of Fame quarterback with a job to do. So maybe he's the guy. Something has to be coming. Woody Johnson knows he just raised ticket prices. And we've talked about this with the quarterback situation. I have a hard time believing this when I see these articles, the ESPN executive who said the Jets might get Tua or Geno or Kyler Murray. And I look at that and go, is Woody going to allow that? He just raised ticket prices and you're going to bring in Geno Smith? Like, there has to be a splash. There has to be a thing that gets the fans excited. From Woody's perspective, there's got to be a thing where you can say, look, I raised ticket prices, but it's okay because we did this thing. So what will that thing be? I don't know. I just know two things. I know a reporter said there's another thing coming, and another reporter said they took a swing with Gruden. So maybe there are some other big fish out there who they're talking to who could come in and help turn this thing around. And that's it. That's the most optimistic thing I can think of right now. Because everything else is a shambles. Everything else is an absolute joke. Like I said, short one. Got to head to work. Had to get on and talk about this. Godspeed, Aaron Glenn. You just won 4 games and then fired your entire staff. And back to square one. So have a good one, Jets fans.